Hey everybody, it's Kalen Webster, the owner of Electric Fat Bike Company, and today we have a walkthrough for changing the controller on the EFBMinis. This is going to work for the step through and the step over mini folding model. Now we want to change the controller, so I have my bike upside down on an elevated table so that you can get to things at level and eye level. It's a lot easier to work on than bending over or anything like that. So I have it upside down on some cardboard blocks for the bars and a cardboard chunk for the back rack, so I'm not getting those things damaged. The controller for this bike is inside this box at the bottom. There's going to be 4 Allen key. It's going to be a 4mm Allen key to take these off. You're only going to have these bolts on one side, so there will not be any on the other side. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove these 4 bolts, and just going to use, again, that's our 4mm Allen key. Now you're going to want to keep these bolts in a safe spot. Find a tray or a bowl or something, Tupperware container, to put these bolts in so you do not lose them. So we're going to take them all out here. As you get closer to the last screw, you're going to want to watch the plate, because that plate will want to fall off on you in most cases. So now I'm on the last bolt. I'm going to go ahead and hold my plate with my other hand. And that comes off. So now we see our plate is off. Keep that aside. And we have our controller tucked up in here. We want to change this controller, or we want to check the plugs or service the plugs. So we can do any of these things now that this is opened. Now, my best suggestion, recommendation would be to take a photo with your phone right now and take a photo of this. The reason we're doing that is to kind of see how things are tucked in there. We're just looking at how it went in there originally, because that will be the easiest and most convenient way to put it back in. So these might be jammed up pretty tight in there. We're going to move that kind of way up out of our way and slowly start to just kind of wiggle those wires. Now, as you can see, it goes into the controller there. That's tight. You don't want to pull at all on that. Find the loose wires like these guys. Give them a wiggle. Really just kind of wiggle everything out. Now this controller is up there pretty tight, so you want to grab it from both sides and kind of do a bit of a wobble like that. Lots of the time everything comes out together, the wires and the controller. You'll see that that will pop out, and you'll want to be careful when if you decide to, say, pull out just the one side. Don't be pinching things here. Like, you don't want to pinch the controller with the metal and pinch a wire, or when you're pulling out there, you can probably see that it's pushing a wire right there. You don't want to pull it and basically grab that wire and break it or pull it apart or anything like that. So we're going to be super careful there. So that will wiggle out. You don't need to pull this very far from the bike. You'll just want to kind of lean it down there. Now you're going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4 plugs. So one is for the back light, one is for the front light, and one is going to be for the components. The other is going to the battery power, to get the power, which is actually right here. You can see it goes out and in. Now, these plugs are waterproof plugs, and they are quite tight. So now they do need to come out directly apart that direction. You do not want to twist or bend too far. Now, there is a technique that works good. You want to grab it right as close to the joint as you can and try to pull apart first, straight apart. If you can't get it straight apart, what you'll want to do is you're going to want to twist, but only a tiny amount. So you're going to wiggle down just a bit. As you can see, I'm barely moving my hands. Rotate your hands. Do the same thing the other direction. So you're doing this just a bit, and then you're switching and you're going like that just a bit. And basically you're doing a bit of a circle twist, almost like that. And then that will come out. The other one. And then same for all of these plugs. You're going to want to do, don't grab them far back and yank. If you are going to pull them apart, you're going to want to pull them right at the plug. And I'm just twisting just a wee little bit. Once you get it wiggled out a bit, you should be able to pull. Just get a firm grip. When you're putting these back in, there is a trick. So now we have just the one more cord here. And then you will see though, that motor plug is running through the back of the frame here. So everything is unplugged. Once we get this one undone, there's only one plug stopping you from pulling this controller out. That's going to be the main one that runs out the back towards the back tire and to your motor plug here. So you will need to cut this zip tie here and unplug this motor plug. After you've done that, you can come here and pull out from this side. You'll want to pull through the inside, and that motor plug will go through the hole in the back. If you are having problems putting it through that hole, you may want to pull out this one. This is the rear light plug. If you pull it out away, just do that. We just have to untangle it right here, pull it out. Basically pull the small ones out first, and then it will give you room to pull the motor plug through. And if you're having trouble with these, always make sure that you push these wires as straight as you can, so you're not pulling it through while it's bent around on an angle like that. You want to be pulling it through when it is straight from the hole, and that motor plug will go through that hole. And then you can remove this controller and then plug in your new one. I would start with putting that motor plug through that hole first, pull it down to where you need it, put that zip tie back on with the correct tension to the plug there, and then you can work on the rest of this. So we are going to go ahead and we are going to reinstall this now. We've made a bit of a mess. We've pulled this through, so we're going to pull this back. It looked like this guy was all the way through at the back and slid around to the front a bit here, so it was tucked in back there up in the back. So that's what I mean by copying the way it came out. It's way better than trying to find a new way. So without tangling these cords up too much, we're going to plug them all back in. You'll know very clearly which ones go together because the prongs will match up. 2 prongs here, multiple prongs there, and there is an arrow on the plug on both sides. So that arrow will be about here. Line the arrows up and push those in all the way. Same with this one here. We have the arrow, and the arrow is on the other side, so we are actually going to organize that cord down there. There we go, arrow with arrow. Push that one all the way in as much as we can. Then we'll put this plug back in with the arrows. Now we need to put this, oh, we got one more here. That's what we're looking for. We want to place this one in as well. Arrow to arrow. There we go. Now we got to get this back in. This is not the funnest part, but we can make it as simple as possible. So we have a brake line coming in. I'm going to pull that brake line up to the bottom, actually up but down to the bottom of the compartment now. This is when we'll want to take a look at our photo, just to remember how things were organized. Now I am just trying to find the correct angle in which we had it in there. I think we were about right there. So I'm clearing space on the top, and I'm going to place this in just the slightest bit. Okay, and then watch these on the bottom. One of the things to look out for is you've got your battery plug right. Woo! That was a close one. Right there, you can see that's where your power comes from the battery into there. When you're pushing wires into here, you want to be very generous with these prongs here. You're gonna want to probably pull this down and shove your wires away from it, either above it and behind it, or anywhere away from right where the joint exits there. So we are going to be as careful as possible while doing this. This big long, super long blue one, we're just gonna kind of fold up, stick it in the very back, try to push it down so it's past our battery plug. Okay, that's one less thing to deal with. Flip that up. Now, we are going to take a really good look down below. Make sure we are clearing it. Make sure that when we're pushing this, we're not pushing any cords into the metal where we don't want to be. Okay, give it a bit of a snug there. As you can see, we are in. And we're going to take a really good look at where our battery plug is there. Make sure that we did not break those at all, and we didn't bend them at all more than we had to. This cord going up and into the back there. These folds and these bends are what you're going to want to copy, because if you try to bend that the opposite direction and then put it back in, it's going to give you a hard time. So that's when you're going to want to really copycat everything. Now we're pretty much ready to put our plate back on. That is there. You'll tell that the plate has a bit of a line and a groove. It does only go on the one way. You may be pushing that controller just a bit. You don't want to be out here shoving that in. If you're there, as you can tell, I got a bit about a ½ inch there. Just push that ½ inch in. But we already made sure that we are not putting stress on the prongs and the plug here that goes through. This is always when your job is easier with that photo. So always remember, when you take this plate off for the first time, take a quick snap, take a quick photo so that you remember where those all go. We're going to tighten these up. One of the other things you can do, we just had that open, we had everything taken out. You can take an air hose and blow that area out. Take any dust and moisture or anything that you can spray out of there and spray that right out of there. Just like any time you have 4 bolts, it's a good idea to crisscross. So instead of going around this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, I'm going to go this one, cross, and then cross down again. And it will give you a nice tight, and go around and do that a few times so that you know that they are all tight. Okay, I'm just missing the one bolt that I dropped. We are going to locate that, put that on. This is all tight, and we're swapped out, ready to go. Now you will want to bring that battery, pop that battery in, and see if everything is running properly again. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I appreciate you taking a look at this video. So please let me know if you have any issues, and I hope you all have a good day.